Good evening everybody, how are we all doing? I hope having a good week so far. So today is Thursday the 6th of November 2014. We're back with the latest Arrow episode which aired last night, titled The Secret Origin of Felicity Smoak. Now you obviously may have noticed that there was no Flash this week. It's taking a break for whatever reason. No idea, I couldn't tell you the reason why, but yeah, it's back next week, so we'll be back on. That'll be great. So yes, Secret Origin of Felicity Smoak. We go back 5 years, we see Felicity looking very gothy, and it has been said that her appearance in the flashbacks would be if they were to cast the character of Death from the Sandman series, and you know, whenever this Sandman movie is going to be made, we don't know. If they were to cast Death in that movie, Emily Bett-Rickards is a surefire choice. I think she's already nailed the look of Death, pretty much, you know, down pat. So yeah, that's one to think about for you guys. So yeah, go back 5 years when she's at college, and she's with a couple of roommates at college. One guy called Cooper, another chap by the name of Myron as well, and they're all sort of taking part in some sort of hacking, you know, game. Essentially, they're trying to become hacktivists, which is quite funny because that's actually the title of a graphic novel that Elisa Milano has done this year as well, which is interesting. So yeah, we also meet for the first time, and looking hot as hell, and I'm still wondering if that's even a dress she was wearing. None other than Felicity Smoak's mother, Donna Smoak, who, I mean, is it me or does hotness just run in the Smoak family within the female species? It's just incredible. But yeah, so Mama Smoak comes to town to to see her daughter at the same time that her mum comes along. Already beforehand, one Ray Palmer is at Felicity's place to discuss Queen Consolidated and wanting to reuse the excess energy to pour it back into the Starling City, essentially. So he's obviously thinking about the city. The opening of this episode was pretty good. We've got three sets of people, you know, doing some sparring with each other. We've got Oliver and Roy, Laurel and Ted Grant, and Malcolm with his daughter Thea. And each of them are all saying different things, essentially. I mean, you've got Roy, who is, you know, when he's questioned by Oliver about his sloppiness, you know, Roy is saying that he's not sleeping well, and that is a quite important bit, by the way, because if you watch the episode, you'll know what I'm talking about, and I'll get to that later on. We've got Laurel being told by Ted that, you know, she isn't fighting, she just seems to be swinging, and you know, she's not really concentrating on the training at hand. And then Malcolm is congratulating Thea on a job well done regarding her training as well. Well, it's quite funny because it's when Thea turns around to Malcolm and says, you know, what do normal people do in the morning? And then that's when we break to Felicity, you know, trying her workout tape at home as well, which, poor girl, bless her cotton. She's trying her hardest. Back to present day, obviously, and something has gone awry. The city has decided to go dark. This is at the moment of where Oliver goes to see Thea at her new place, very swish by the way, a massive loft that she has acquired through her dad, Malcolm Merlin. Oliver's not happy because, as far as he's concerned, she's using, you know, his blood money, essentially. So Oliver's really not happy that she is using Malcolm's estate to afford her own apartment and also repurpose and reopen the Verdant nightclub as well. So he's genuinely pissed off, you can imagine. But you know, Thea wants him to just, you know, not to worry about that. She's now her own woman. She's on her own 2 feet, essentially. She wants to make things for herself. And pretty much as the episode goes on, you'll see the pair of them say to each other that family is all they've got, and they are the only two, realistically, is all they've got. So that gets onto its own journey later on in the episode. But as I say, yeah, the whole city goes dark, a massive power outage, and a message from a certain, well, the way it was described, it just basically said, "I am Brother I." And I was like, whoa, slightly taken aback. I thought, what? brother eye. They just use brother eye. I was like, that was pretty nice touch. But as the episode goes on, obviously with this darkness that is the blackest night over Starling City, or if you want to call it Starling City 0 Year from Batman comics as well, it's quite interesting because Felicity is then trying to backtrack this citywide virus that has gone, through, that has darkened the city. Eventually the power comes back on because this Brother Eye, states a broadcast that, they're going to attack the city as such, that they're taking over the Starling City grid, and it's not good. So when Felicity traces what's going on and she uses the computer, she then realises that it's actually part of a virus that she wrote 5 years ago, and that's when she realised she can't stop it, and it's just like, whoa. So we're tracing through the steps, we're going back 5 years, we're looking at her, her boyfriend at the time, who is, what's his name? Cooper, I've just forgotten his name there, and then obviously you've got the other roommate, also known as Myron. Now, I'm going to try and not reveal spoilers, because it's very interesting the way how everything reveals itself eventually and how the twists and stuff turns. It's pretty much self-explanatory anyway. There is a part that kind of throws you off as well. You think you know who it is, but then it sort of throws you off the angle slightly, but then boom, you're like, ah, okay, so that's what's happened. So not going to get any further into it, but we come back to present day, and it's when Felicity's mum, because Felicity and her mum, they have a fight with each other, and when Felicity goes back to see her mum at her own apartment, it's when her mum states that she got a free plane ticket to Starling City to see her daughter. That's when Felicity realises something was up, and it was like, hold on, what do you mean you got a free plane ticket? What do you mean an email that you were sent? So that's when Felicity was starting to put two and two together and realise exactly what was actually going on. So later on, obviously, at the beginning, sort of like towards the beginning of the episode, when Ray meets Felicity's mum, he gives her a prototype of this smartwatch that his company has been developing. It's quite funny. He labels the one that Felicity's mum's wearing as 3GS, and he's got 6. So there was a bit of a Apple iPhone, throw in there as such. But yeah, no, he pretty much gives her the prototype, and it becomes an important accessory later on in the episode, which is, a lifesaver as such. But yeah, the whole episode itself was pretty good. We see that Mama Smoak and Felicity eventually, they patch things up. Oliver and Thea patch things up as well. Laurel goes back to Ted, and she confides in Ted, because she still hasn't told her dad what has happened to Sarah. But she confides in Ted and tells Ted what happened to her sister, and that's when it's a case of, right, we've got to use that emotion to channel your energy and your rage, essentially, to try and catch the killer. So yeah, and speaking of catching the killer, what we saw at the end of this episode blew my mind. There are a number of possible theories, but I'm not going to go into them right now, because wow, yeah, I sort of sat there and I was just like, whoa, yeah. So remember what I said about Roy at the beginning of the episode, at the beginning of this video? Yeah, so, wow. Yeah. Next week's episode is going to be interesting. It's titled Guilty. Yeah. It basically says here, after a body is found strung up in the Wildcat gym, Ted Grant becomes the main suspect. Oliver and Laurel argue over Ted's innocence. Meanwhile, in the flashbacks, when Masio needs Oliver to remember where an informant for China White stashed key information, he asks Tatsu to help jog Oliver's memory. Roy shares a secret with Felicity. That's all I'm going to say on that. Thank you all very much for watching. See you all very soon. Bye.